Hello guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be taking a look at another quarterly theory concept. The concept we're looking at today is SMT-Fill, one of my personal favourite concepts as there are many different ways in which we can use it. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So what is an SMT-Fill? So for an SMT-Fill, we must see a fair value gap formed at the exact same time on at least two closely correlated assets. Once the gap has formed, we then must see one asset trade back within its gap and another asset fail to trade back within its gap. So if you take a look at the example on the right, you can see the asset to the left traded back within its gap, the asset to the right failed to trade back within its gap. However, this is not the only SMT-Fill that we can see. There are many different variants of SMT-Fill. So variant number one is the one that we just spoke about, where we have one asset trading back within its gap and the other asset failing to trade back within its gap. Variant number two is when one asset trades below 50% of the gap and the other asset fails to trade below 50% of its gap. So you can see both assets do actually trade within its gaps, but one trades below equilibrium and the other stays above equilibrium. And the final variant, variant number three, is when we get one asset fill the gap completely and one asset fail to fill the gap completely. So one asset must fill that whole entire gap and it can even wick below it. And then the other asset can be anywhere else inside of that gap, just as long as it doesn't fill it completely. So you can see the asset to the right trades below equilibrium and the asset to the left fills that gap completely while also wicking below it. So all three of those variants are all classed as an SMT-Fill, but they're just slightly different cracks in correlations within inside of those fair value gaps. And now, how do we use an SMT-Fill? So there are two different ways in which you can use an SMT-Fill. Number one is to frame a trade idea and bias, and number two is for an entry model. So the way that we can use it in order to frame a trade idea or a bias is by zooming out and looking at that higher time frame, so the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, and then once we can see we've got that SMT-Fill occurring, that is then when you can drop down to the lower time frames and look for your classic entry model. Or the second option is to actually use SMT-Fill for your entry model. So as you can see, the example to the right, we actually have a sequential SMT on the lows, a fair value gap then is formed, and then price trades back into that fair value gap while forming that SMT-Fill, which is then when you can begin to look for an entry off that SMT-Fill. So that is just a super simple entry model using the SMT-Fill. If you guys will be interested in a more advanced SMT-Fill model, please do let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video. It's a super simple concept, but extremely powerful when used correctly. If you guys enjoyed the video and took value away from it, I'd appreciate a like and a subscription. And also let me know in the comments down below what other trading or quarterly theory videos you would like to see from me within the future. And I'll also have my socials linked down below in the description, as well as my premium membership group and my very own quarterly theory indicator. Good luck and good trading.